Good morning, everyone. I'm Meredith with Essential Education. Um, who's familiar with Essential Education? Raise your hand. Nice. So I'd say about 50-50. All right, so Essential Education, just a quick overview of who we are. We provide online academies for TABE and CASAS, as well as GED and HiSET. We have a literacy program to strengthen reading skills, as well as our workforce readiness. And we also have print materials. So if you're interested in those, maybe you don't have those yet, you can come to our booth and physically hold them and see what those look like. Otherwise, we also have a passion for professional development. Last year, we wrote the 6 Anchors of Retention. This year, our team has written this book, Overcoming Adult Learning Challenges. And there are 4 sections in here that are probably going to speak to every single one of your students to some degree. So I highly recommend come see us at the booth, come pick up a copy of this, incorporate it into your PD with your staff, chat with us. We can strategize on ideas. Either way, you have a great session here. We have Lisa, Laura, and Michelle. Where's Michelle? There she is. Anyways, have a wonderful day. And here's to day 2.
Okay. All right. How many people had difficulty with the code? Were you able to get into the Mentimeter at all? Okay. Because I went in and did a quick fix, and now I'm going to back up. So do over. Try very quickly. That screen is actually part of our ultimate presentation. So I'm going to go in and get that up. Okay, if y'all will just bear with me, because now I want to go back to the first slide of this. There we go. This is this is how we really want to start. So good morning. Again, I'm going to take a deep breath and we're just going to go with it because some folks heard me say it is 8 o'clock in the morning and we're just going to work all the kinks out as we go because we're educators and we know that our number one phrase, theme, approach in life is you monitor and adjust. So welcome to Rigor, Relationships, and Retention, the 3 R's of Contemporary Adult Education. I am Lisa Justice. I am the Director of Florence One Adult Education in South Carolina. I have 2 of my good friends here with me that we're going to see what we can do to share some information with you. If you think that we have all the answers, we don't. And we don't come before you at that premise. We just thought we would share some information that was interesting to us. Let's see if I go this way. Can people online hear me and see the screen? There we go. We've done that one. I'm going to hold tight on the results of this for a reason, because first of all, we have to click back and forth between these 2 platforms, but also because I think I want you to hear a few things first and see if you were on the right track. So again, I am Lisa Justice, just a little bit more about me, so you won't think that this is just coming out of nowhere. I am an educator with, I like to just say over 25 years because I don't want to age myself too much, experience. I'm a recovering English teacher, still in recovery for that, and school administrator of many years. And I landed in adult education in 2015. I did a little stint in CTE in the meantime, and then when I got the opportunity to come back to adult ed about 2 years ago, I came running back because adult education is what I like to call my happy place. And I think from everything that I participated in yesterday in the conference, I have a feeling that we all have that in common. So next, I'm going to allow my partners here to introduce themselves.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Sprav. I am a veteran math teacher teaching in K-12. After about 25 years, I have a son who is on dialysis, and I was able to retire, so I retired. But I got an opportunity to come and work in adult ed, and I love it, so I will not go back to K-12. I'm loving being here at co-ed. Adult ed is just it's a whole nother environment when it comes to teaching. K-12 is good, but when you see people who haven't had the opportunity to get their education, and once they get it and they can move on and do bigger and greater things with their lives and their family, it's really rewarding to them as well as you.
Good morning. I'm Laura Kolb. Excuse me. I am the director for Clarendon County Adult Education, and I have a really extremely varied background, mostly K-12, pre-K through adult. My husband was military, so I have taught in 8 different states across the nation, North Dakota, California, Virginia, Hawaii, South Carolina, and I'm thinking where else I was. Oh, Wyoming. So not an easy one to forget. So I've seen a lot of things, done a lot of things. I was an alternative school principal in Northern Virginia for about 7 years. Absolutely loved it, but burnt me out completely. And so my friend Lisa hired me to be the adult ed director in South Carolina. And I too will never go back to K-12. I have found my niche. I love the fringe people. I love people who need second chances. I love people who hate high school. Those are my people. So I resonate for some reason. I think in my days I might have been an alternative kid, and there just wasn't that program. But I understand their wants, their needs, and my older people who for some reason didn't make it either. And so I love adult ed. I've been a teacher in adult ed. I was in the jails. I was in ESL. I did workplace, and so I feel like I've come full circle now as a director. And I'm very blessed to, again, have been hired by my friend. We use the good old boy system very well in the South.
Truthfully, though, we did not know each other until she walked in for the interview. So full disclosure on that. So we've just become good friends since then. All right, we've done the Mentimeter. We'll go back to that. Okay. There we go. Now we're going to move forward. So why are we here? What are we really doing? And you've heard a little bit of the backstory that Laura and I became friends when I was adult education director in a technical college building that housed both adult ed and CTE, which, you know, back at that time, it wasn't the ideal setup. Now, of course, it would be if it still worked that way, but that's a whole nother story. So Laura and I became friends that way. We were still in the building together because I just moved over to the other side. And once I got the opportunity to return to adult education, we got to bond even more because we got to share our experiences with our students. So we started looking at data, and that's how we got here. This last year, the state of South Carolina, we do a spring and a fall training, and similar to COABE, we get an opportunity to do proposals of things we would like to present. And she and I ended up at 2 separate, she did the fall, I did the spring, at 2 different training conferences in our state, presenting on very, very similar information. So the idea was born. Hey, we've got some similarities going on here. What do we do that we have in common? What is the common thread? And how can we share that with other people? Hello, Anne. I don't mean to call you out. That's my good friend. She used to work with me in Florence. So yay. So now for the broader reason that we are here. You know the backstory now, but now the broader reason that we're here. We want to share some research content with you, research-based content with you that support the key premises of what we do in andragogy, of course, and then the whole idea of practitioner inquiry. It's just a process that you can put in place to see if you can figure out what's going on in your program, either the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, whatever, so that you can examine your own practice and kind of figure out what's going on. And then, of course, the value of relationships in adult education. I do not think that this is groundbreaking information. We don't have the secret sauce. If that's what you came here for, we can't give you all of that. But what we can share with you are some experiences that we've had, some immediately useful techniques. One of them you've already done. If you've not used the platform Mentimeter to do surveys of your students or of your teachers, say in a staff meeting or professional development, Menti is really cool, and I will show you those results shortly. So, our agenda today, we've accomplished the first 2 already. Go us. Okay. We've introduced our team, we've set our goals. We're going to go over the premises of practitioner inquiry and our whole data dive, how we did this. the research behind it, theories of adult learning, and the value of relationships in adult learning. And then we'll tell you some information about our 2 programs. We're going to try to get through information as quickly as we can. I will share with you that Laura's going to need to step out a little bit early. She's getting an award for her program this morning. So now you know the other real reason I latched onto her. Just kidding. One of the greatest pleasures of my life is being able to see my friends and my circle and my people succeed. So if you want to have a rewarding moment, go and support your friends because it's awesome. So that's where we'll go. We'll probably run out of time in what we're doing, but we're going to do our absolute best. We'll start with Laura, and she'll share some data from her program.
All right, so my program in general is fairly small. We're very rural. So COVID kicked us in the butt. I don't know about the rest of you. We were so not prepared. Again, we're rural, so we are high poverty level. We were not a one-on-one school district yet. When COVID hit, we sent our students home, and it was see ya. Good luck. If you got a book, use it. If you don't, you know. And the other sad thing was, and I had only been a director about 2 years at that point, I thought students kept the same phone numbers. I learned really quickly that is not the case. So a lot of our students, we couldn't even keep in contact with because I did not have enough foresight to do that. So I took data. We started doing really good. Once we got back into school, I noticed we had a lot more students than we had been having even before, and a lot more students who were more serious. And again, I'd like to say it was COVID. COVID for us was a curse and a blessing, and I'm sure you guys can say the same thing. So I took the last 5 years, well, plus COVID, and you can see our data is just really wonky, but we've been growing substantially since then. So that first set of bars is the number of students we've had. So we did have a few more before COVID, but we're getting back again to where we were before. But the ones that we had before COVID, my retention rate was like in the 60s. I mean, we get that 12 hours and I was excited, but then we couldn't sustain them coming back. So retention rate. Now, if you look at my bar, our retention rate has been in the 90% for the last 3 years. And again, I'd love to attribute it to something specific, but I think it's because, again, I got smart. What's your phone number? You guys still got the phone number? And so every day we're asking our people, hey, have you changed your address? Have you got your phone number? What? And so it's made a huge difference that they think we want to keep up with them, because we do. And my teachers are the ones that are doing it because they're the ones that make that connection. Yes, ma'am. So our retention rate is from the day they register to our freeze date of July 15th. So if they are a student, because maybe you don't. I was going to say in South Carolina, we have the NRS, drops them after 90 days that they're not there. So we don't have 90-day drops. I think right now I have four people who signed up, did whatever they did, and now they're dropped out of 120. So we keep, again, we're calling, we're sending cards. I have a teacher that will drive by houses. She's phenomenal. And those are my people. Those are a big reasons why our students stay. So I just real quickly, but our state standards for the last 3 years, we've met all 6 state standards for South Carolina. And again, when people are there to learn and you give them that tape, they make the gain. Again, I wish I could say it was me and we're doing something special, but we're really not. It's a matter of keeping our people interested and keeping them there and showing them progression. And I think that's what our students love to see. So again, we have about 120 students signed up right now. Of that, 63 of them are 21 and under. And we take 16-year-olds. So that's been a significant challenge for us this year, but they like us in the fact that we go to school Monday through Thursday, 9 to 12. They're not in school 7.5 hours a day, getting things that they don't need. So they don't mind coming. And it's not even the getting up early. And they'll tell you, they just don't want to be in a seat for 7.5 hours a day, taking classes they don't need with people they don't enjoy. And again, we do a lot. I've been able to hire most of the teachers that I have. In 7 years, I've had 4 teachers leave, and that was all due to retirement. So the ones that I hired were 2 were younger, 2 were retired. And of the 2 that were retired, one was an administrator. So she sees things the way that I see things. Although she's my ABE teacher, she was an early childhood teacher. So she teaches my lower level learning to read people. She does my lower math. And she is so, they just bought in. So that some of my teachers that retired were not bought in. They're just, oh, I'm just hanging out. I'm getting a paycheck. And just not that they were ugly about it, but you could tell that they were not as invested as the teachers that I have now. And again, that makes a difference in that retention. If those people know that those teachers are not as invested as they are, they're not going to stay and they're not going to like them. I had a teacher one time tell a student, this kid walked in and he was 17 and he was nervous when he walked in and he had a hat on. First thing she said to him, "We don't wear hats in here, son." Do you think he came back? He did not. And his mama called. So I was like, I know, I'm so sorry. I couldn't control that. So I am, and again, because I have an alternative background, I feel like I put up with a lot more than maybe some other people do. And my teachers love that I do. So if I have a kid that's just having a rough day and they come in and you just see it. First thing I do is I pull them aside and we talk. What's going on? What's going, and and if they want, and I'm not, no, I won't lie. I do swear on occasion, not in front of people, but like at home or whatever, maybe Lisa. But if they need to swear it out to me, swear it out. You're not, my ears aren't going to break off and it'll be okay. And that brings some kind of level of respect or trust. And not that they're going to do that every day, but if they need it at that moment, God bless it, swear at me. I don't care. I can honestly say that most of the time, once they do that, I never see that again. And that's with all ages. We had a grown woman give me the F word all about math. I hate effing math. And yeah, me too. I get it. And she just had a meltdown because she didn't pass her test. But you know what? She came back and she finished. And that's what we're trying to, not just the retention for us, but the resolve to stay. And we'll sometimes it's that hard conversation. You've quit before, quitting's easy. You can quit anything in life. Staying is what's hard. And that's what we talk to our students a lot, is the staying is what's hard. And that will make a difference when your girlfriend isn't being nice. It's easy to quit and walk away. But once you're married, that's not easy. And those are commitments. And so we preach a lot about commitment and staying. And by preaching, I just mean, well, we probably do say it a lot, but I just want our students to be so successful. But we also, what's the word I'm looking for? We project what we want them to see. So we're not fake, first of all. And even though I'm the administrator, sometimes I'm a teacher, because if you don't have people to fill in, which we don't, that's me. Sometimes I'm the custodian. They see me doing everything and they see my teachers doing everything. And I think that's also another helpful tip is that, no, we're not better than anybody else. And so I really feel like our students appreciate that and they see that. But then I was going to tell you about this post-testing and then I'll shut up. So the one thing we learned, again, quickly, with post-testing, don't tell your students when you're post-testing, because we found they won't show up. So if we say every Wednesday, we're post-testing people who have that 40 hours for TABE, a lot of my people would just not show up. Now, I'm not saying this is true for everybody. I found this in my program. So Wednesday, I have 10 people that need a post-test, 2 would show up. I'd be like, what? And then they'd show up maybe a couple days later thinking I had forgotten. And most of the time I had, but they were hoping that they wouldn't have to test again. So what we have done is I have the list of who needs to post test. So I will grab one at a time. I don't do a mass post testing anymore because, again, we're small. I can do that. And so I'll say, oh, guess what today is? It's your day. And we go in and they're there. They're post-tested and it's done. And they didn't have to stress about it. They didn't have to think about it. And that has made a huge difference, not in the retention, but in how much better our scores are than they were before. Yes, ma'am. 40. Mm-hmm. Correct. If they don't make a gain. So if they make a gain after 40, I don't have to test again for that year. With the TABE test. And again, I think as my students, they come in and they're like, we're going to, we say, do your best, do your best. And then after 40 hours, I'm still do your best. But now I'm like, now you really got to do your best because I need that gain because financially, everything we do is free in our program. So we make sure that we're not charging because most of my people can't afford it. And even if they could, I don't know that would be an impetus for them to want to come. And so post-testing for us, wind testing for us is huge. And again, we had to rework how we do wind testing because they didn't come to get their wind test. They came to get their GED. And so I'm like, yeah, I get it. But if you don't help me out by doing the wind test, I can't help other people out. And so we have... That's a whole nother nest of worms, how we do the wind testing. But we kind of guilt them into thinking that it can stay free if they do these things. And I always tell them that, we can do this for you, but you have to help us out in return. And most students do. If they say, no, I'm not doing it. Okay. I'm not going to freak out on you. It's all right. We'll figure out something else. But but my students are I think they respect us. They understand what we're asking, and they do a lot of what we're asking.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. We had to front load a lot of her stuff for you because she's going to be checking out early. So in terms of the larger program, Florence One Adult Ed, we're located basically an hour away from Clarendon County. All of South Carolina is tremendously rural, but there are some population centers. I would not say that Florence is huge. It's about 130, 140,000 people for all of Florence County. The city of Florence is, of course, a little bit smaller than that, but it's a population center, and then the rest of the county can be very, very rural. We are larger. Last year, we got over 800 students. So there were some reasons behind that. And you can kind of see, I just went back for 3 years worth of data with our program because that sort of spans the time that I've been able to impact it. And our number of students, you can see, has skyrocketed at this point. Our retention rate, not quite as high as Laura's, but still above our state average and our state goal. We were feeling pretty good. We went from 85%, went down a little bit last year into the upper 70s, but still very good retention rate in terms of our students keep on coming and they keep responding to all of our efforts. And like Laura, we have a lot of those same things in place. And what we're going to share with you today is kind of the process of how that happens. Where I think we've made the biggest difference in Florence One Adult Ed is our number of graduates. It looks like, because I had to go all the way up to 800 to put all of this on the same graph, it doesn't look like we have that many, but last year we had 165 graduates as our class of 2024. We were dominated by high school diploma. And I'll tell you why. This is a very good opportunity because I have an excellent partnership with my school district, and that our school district actually provides the online platform that we use to issue high school diploma credits. So I know what a fortunate situation that I am in, that we are able to do that. It's online, so students can access it anytime. We have some parameters so that they can come in the building. I have 2 high school diploma teachers. Dr. Sprav is one of those. She teaches both GED and high school diploma, so we have a unique setup. I know that I am very lucky to have that, and not all programs. Just a poll of the audience. How many of you offer both GED and high school diploma? So it's not a lot. Yeah, we've been very lucky with that. And I think that's helped contribute. I think that also contributes to our retention rate because, of course, students, when they have the ability to get online, it just opens up a whole nother method of flexibility for you to offer schedules. So I know that there are ways, and we do offer some GED work for our students to do online. We have some platforms. We have access to some online classes with one of our partner programs in South Carolina. That I think will be a key feature that you'll figure out through the course of the presentation. So that's overall with our data. We saw some good trends. So what did we start doing? What does our data mean? What are we looking at here? Through the process of practitioner inquiry, we decided we wanted to answer that question. We know we've got consistent enrollment. We know we've got consistent retention. We know that we've got consistent or positive increasing performance data. So how can we interpret this and share it with other people? Because that is one of the premises of practitioner inquiry, is take a look at what you're doing in your practice, help yourself to either solve your problems or figure out what's going on that's good that you can share with others. And what's interesting about that is it relates directly to the research of adult learning theory. See how I did that? Malcolm Knowles, of course, is affectionately known as our father of adult education. He is the first who came up with the term. Andragogy, he had the 4 assumptions in the beginning, which eventually you'll see turn into 6. That's basically what he did. He sat down, after dealing and living in adult education for a few years, he sat down and said, what are we doing here? What are we doing here that's working? What are our processes have in common? Because, until then, nobody had really thought about, do adults learn differently? Do we need a different setup? How do we need to approach this? So Malcolm, Uncle Malcolm, I like to call him, he decided to answer that question by just taking a look at all the practices within his program that had some consistency. He looked at everything and he found the themes. And that's how he came up with initially the 4 assumptions that came into one of his first works and dominated the rest of his research and work in adult education. And then you have Uncle Paolo. I like Malcolm. He's that uncle you go to. He's the one with the wisdom and the dad jokes. Paolo, he's the uncle at the party that you're going to have a good time if you go and hang out with him, but he's going to get you in some trouble. So that's the biggest difference that I see between the two. Freire came up with critical pedagogy. The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. It's a book now that we might not can teach in anymore. But anyway, it's probably controversial because it does get political. Malcolm wasn't about that. Totally different context of living, totally different situations is probably why. But whereas Malcolm's looking at the outside, kind of seeing what we're doing and how this is making a difference, Uncle Paolo, he's like, no, we're going to dig into what's going on in you, and we're going to give you education to make you free. So he was so intense about it. Malcolm, very, very global in thinking. Paolo, maybe not quite so much. I think the strategies that we have in place in both our adult education programs do this to a T. We have an opportunity to put structure in place that can provide and promote success for our students, but we also have a way to dig into their internal motivation, which is exactly what Laura just described to you. Let's dig in and see what we can do for people to set them free. How can we help them to discover what's really in them to give them the greatest opportunity for success? Whereas Malcolm's, we're getting set up, and we're going to put these processes in place, and we know it's going to help you. Paolo kind of helps you to help yourself. That's the way I tend to interpret those two guys. Now, there are others. Exactly. There are others. I won't bore you with this, but this is probably something you've seen in other presentations regarding the differences between those 3 learning theories and building the autonomy of adults. So just a little bit more concise preview of Knowles' assumptions. We're all familiar, I think, with each of these in a certain way. We are all very much about the self-directedness and the autonomy and respecting the experience of adults. But I think there's just a strand. I think the biggest one is probably in here with internal motivation. But there's a strand of making connections. And the same with Freire. that there's a strand of making a difference. There are others. I'm quickly going through this stuff. There are other researchers who have said, hey, this is a good thing to do. Dig into the motivation of your people. Try to make a difference. Now, if you've not heard of Ruby Payne, the reason why I say love her or dismiss her, she got a lot of flack with her landmark book, Framework for Understanding Poverty. She has others. She's done some updates. I actually met her at a conference a few years ago and said, hey, I used you as a main source in both my master's thesis and my dissertation. She's like, what? People don't usually like me that much. Because she got a bad rap. She got a little bit of a bad rap. There were some things maybe in her research that at the time she expressed that seemed to stereotype people, and I don't discount that at all. But as a reflective educator, she went in and looked at that, and she has since written other things. But the biggest premise that I get from her, the biggest concept that I get from her, is that one person, that the structure of what's going on for people that have a lot of barriers in their life, like our students, is that one person can make a difference. That is supported by so many others. And we started talking about being transformers yesterday. That wasn't by coincidence, because we can study and point to transformational learning, to motivational theory, to self-directed learning as the reason why we are those transformers and that we have become those things in adult education. So I wanted just to share with you very quickly an overview of what adult learning theory says. I know that you're living it every day in your practice anyway, but we wanted you to know that that just doesn't come from anywhere. Nobody's making this stuff up, that it does have a background. So let's take a minute. What do you think is the common thread between our data, what we know about adult learning theory? If you just want to turn and talk for a second, or if you're online, if you want to put a question or a comment or a thought in the chat, we'll just take a minute, take a deep breath, and see if you have anything you want to share out. Taking pictures. You can come in. Yeah. All right, take about 10 seconds, wrap up your conversation. You know me, I understand. Okay, cool. I saw on LinkedIn last night that you were here. Okay, if you'll take a deep breath. One more time, if you'll take a deep breath. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I do the deep breath thing and I make the joke, you got to close your mouth and take a deep breath. You don't want to be a mouth breather because that's not good results. So thank you for sharing out. I wanted to give you all a minute to talk amongst yourselves so that we're not the sages on this stage. Anyone have something to share? Are there any comments or questions in the chat? Okay. Say that. We got to be on the mic.
Nicole New in the chat said genuinely about the people, not the numbers.
100%.
completely agree with that. I got to be about individual people, not individual numbers. I started saying that this year. I'll tell you all of it about that in a few minutes. Anybody else want to share from the audience? Any insights, any thoughts?
We were talking about how both theorists need to be a part of it, your process or understanding, and infusing Maslow's theories of hierarchy into the equation. Because what you find out, a lot of these young people are coming from a lot of no's in their life, a lot of transition, a lot of non-trust. So the deal with not being fake is critical to gain growth and understanding over the period of time.
That gives me, I didn't hear this yesterday, but I do want to ask the audience, generally overall, your age group in adult education, is it changing? Yes. Show of hands, younger folks. Yeah. I didn't think that was just a South Carolina trend, because there's some structures in place in South Carolina that help us in adult education. How many of you deal with states that have accountability models in their high schools? If you don't pay attention to K-12, you probably don't even know, but one of the great things in South Carolina, if a student who is not on track to graduate with his or her class, they get behind in credits, you know how that happens, then they get adult ed might be something for you to think about. We have to be careful on our language. And so they come over, and the 17 and 18-year-olds who are of the current graduating class or even the year above or below, our state will give credit on the accountability model to our high schools. So we became so incredibly important to our high school principals because that's what they get judged by. Luckily, our data doesn't go in the newspaper too much, but it should. So we've gotten a lot that way. So with that changing demographic, and like Laura said, we've had to adjust a little bit with our practices. And the relationships have just become key. I would say, how many, I know a lot of us have probably done adult learning online and done it as a cohort model. And I don't know necessarily that in a college program or master's program or whatever that you get the most deepest connections, but you have to in our framework of adult education. We've got to build that. So yes, we thought you've got it. We'll talk about the rigor in a second, but we think it's the relationships that are their biggest key.
So again, I'm a workhorse. I am not an in front. Like I used to love teaching, but that's been a long time ago. I like to know my people. I want to know my students. I want to know where they're coming from. And again, I'm small, so I'm blessed that I get to do it. I can tell you every student's first name. I might not always remember the last names, but I can tell you their first name. I can tell you what their story is. And I have 5 sites in my county, and my county's fairly large, and I go every day to a different site to make sure I am meeting my students, seeing them, making sure they know who I am and that they can contact me for anything. I don't have a work phone. My district did not see fit to give me a work phone. So I got over it because, K-12, you never give out your phone number, ever. Every student has my phone number. You can call me when you need me. Now, I prefer not after about 10 o'clock because you're not going to get the great me. You're going to get, what are we doing? But I'll get up at 5 and answer your phone. But again, my students are like, no, don't call me at 5. But they know that that I'm there. And my teachers the same way. Teachers give out their phone numbers all the time because, again, we need to meet them where they are. And if they are online and they don't get that A plus B equals C, that's what our job is. Our job is to make sure they get that. And how we do it a lot of times is that late night phone call when they're sitting in their Edmonton class and they just can't do it. And they're frustrated and they're angry. And I always bring up math because it's where we have our struggles. A lot of our people, it's that darn math. And so we like to just all of these things. We want to respect their experience. And again, if they had a crappy experience at high school, well, I don't want to repeat that. So what is it? That's one of the interview questions when they come to us. What is it that you did? I had a child come to me last week, and she's so precious. I love this little girl. She's 18, and she comes in and she says, I mean, straight A's and B's too. And I'm like, why are you coming to us? And she's like, I don't like the students in high school. And I'm thinking, oh, it's bad, whatever. They bully her because she's smart. I was like, oh my God. I said, well, you will get celebrated because we don't see A's and B's all the time. I said, so we are going to have parties when you make these grades with us because that's huge. We have kids who struggle. I mean, that's our normal person, are the people who struggle. Like you get a D, D's get degrees. I hate to say that, but that's a true statement for a lot of my people. Don't freak out. It's a D. It's not perfect. You're okay. That's beautiful. We'll take it. But we got a kid who's making A's and her high school won't support that. Come on, something's wrong. So you're going to get loved and you're going to get pampered and we're going to celebrate everything. Whether you get that D, great. But you get that A too, we're going to celebrate you just the same. And the other thing we like to do is, again, empower their autonomy. You're an adult now when you walk in. And for a 16-year-old, that's a little bit different because they want it to be kind of, no, they don't want it. They think it's going to be a lot like K-12, right? And we tell them, no, it's nothing. I'm not going to nag you. I'm not your mom. Your teacher's not going to nag you, but we will call you. We will support you. We will do everything you need us to do. But you have got to keep track that you need 12 credits. I mean, granted, we do too, but I want them to understand that that's their life. That's not us. The faster you work, the faster you get done. And so a lot of our students, now when they're adults, when they come to us, and I say really an adult, a 40-year-old, this is expected. They want that autonomy. They've earned it at work. They've earned it in their house. They understand it. 16-year-olds don't have a lot of autonomy. And so when they come to us, and a lot of programs in South Carolina will not take 16-year-olds. We're one of the few that do. So we help them mature through the process as well, which is okay because, again, I like these kids. They keep me young and, on my toes. I don't know the lingo anymore like I used to when I was in high school, but we make sure that we engage them in anything we can. If they don't want to take that financial literacy class, by all means, if that keeps you from coming, don't come. Don't do it. We'll figure out something else for you. And I think that's another thing that my program is really good at. We are so flexible. We are so flexible. If you can't, again, I like to do GED when our students are there. So I like to test because again, we celebrate everything, right? So they come out and even if they don't pass, we're like, oh my gosh, you're so close. And we have, we do all these things. But if they can't get there till 1 o'clock and it's just me, yeah, I'll test you. Yeah, I might have had a Zoom. Sorry, whoever. We'll have to do that another time. This is my student. And they know they are forefront when they come to us. Now, a lot of people say, well, that sets them up for failure when they go out into the work world because they're not going to get that hand holding. You know what? We all get slapped enough in the face once we hit that work world. Why can't I baby them? Why can't I hand hold? Why can't I get them to college this way or to their next step? Because they've not had that. Their experience tells me that somebody didn't do it and that's why they're still not in high school. Or they didn't do it when they were in high school and now they're 40 or 50 or 60. They didn't have that opportunity for somebody to help them. And that's what I consider. I don't consider that I'm disabling them in any stretch. I mean, because again, if what worked, they'd still be there. So when I tell you, we do incredible things, and I know Lisa does too, but I'm, again, blessed because we're small and I get to do it. And so I see them at Piggly Wiggly. Hey, I missed you at school yesterday, and they're like, I know, the baby did whatever. I said, all right. I said, well, just remember, we love you and we want you back. Or I'll see them, at the bank and I make sure. And what's really cool at first, adult education students, whatever age, they don't find you cool, They don't want to tell you this is my teacher. They don't want to, see you. But now I kind of I don't care what you think. I run up and I give them hugs in Walmart. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. And then they kind of are forced to introduce me to whoever they're with. Cause like, who's this strange lady hugging me? And so it's just a sense of pride. I want them to see that it's not a horrible thing to be in adult ed. This is great, and we are doing great things, and you are part of that greatness. You're what's making us great. And so it's been kind of fun to see that mind switch. And again, COVID did that to us, where it was like, you know what, we're all right, and we're going to be all right, and you guys are going to be great.
We had to pick one of your students to share from. Which one would you want to do? Because I think we need to probably go ahead and do that.
Let's do Desmond.
Okay, we're going to just share while Laura's still here, and then we'll come back to the rest of the structures. Hopefully, if this works, I'll skip forward a little bit.
If not, I'll give you a good rundown of this young man, because I bet every one of you have one of him in your class.
I'm getting there. Yep. Okay. Now, how to get back to that and to get it to play. This is not going to be something I'm good with, I don't think. Let me go into. Okay.
I'll just do a quick thing on Caleb. So Caleb came to us. He was a special ed student in high school. His guidance counselor told him, you are not smart enough to get a regular diploma at our high school. So he stayed for a minute, dejected, going to his little resource classes, getting nothing. This always infuriates me when we get this. So his dad said, you know what, why don't you go to adult ed? Just see what they can do for you. So he comes to us and we're like, oh yeah, you can get your high school diploma with us. Absolutely. And so in the video, one of the things that I asked him, and I grabbed for my presentation for South Carolina, I grabbed 4 of my students. Caleb was one. And the first thing I said, why did you come to adult ed? And he said, because somebody told me I couldn't do it. I said, all right, Caleb. Well, now Caleb's a graduate. Caleb went through it with us. He graduated. Now he's working at Walmart. Walmart is one of our biggest employers in our town. And he brings out your delivery to your thing. And let me tell you, changed kid. He's not dejected. And he is proud of his job. Proud that he does it. He's a talker. So he'll come up to your car. Yes, ma'am. What do you know? And he tells people what they told him at the high school. And I love that. I love that he sticks it to him. But he comes by and sees us and he stops in to let us know how he's doing. I love this kid. And I have so many of this kid that come to us from a special ed program and they're not getting a regular diploma. They're going to get the I went to 12 years of high school certificate. And it makes me so upset because this kid, I have kids that are in college that were told that. Who are you to tell somebody they can't do it? You know, and now I just that's my high horse. But anyway, Caleb is just one of my people. And this year that he graduated, I had a student who won the South Carolina Learner of the Year. It took her 22 years to get her high school diploma. Again, special ed. She had a TBI, but she did it. And again, who was her person to tell her she couldn't do it? And her whole goal for doing it was because somebody told her she couldn't do it. And again, we're very lucky. A lot of times our students that have accommodations, and of course they're normal accommodations, small group testing, small group learning, read alouds. If you only have 2 students in your lower math class, you're going to get Caleb who's learning algebra so that you can spend one-on-one time with him and he can learn. And I get so upset when I hear those K-12 people talk like that. And again, my teachers would never do that. So make sure that you're surrounding yourself or you're hiring people if you're a hirer, or if you're one of the people that think these things, change it because you're wrong. I love the fact that my teachers know that the Calebs of the world are smart. They may be not, your traditionally smart children, but he is smart and he's going to do well and he's going to marry a girl and they're going to have children and he's going to be in our community and he's going to be a positive in our community because we loved him and we helped him.
Thank you, Laura. Having a little technical difficulty because the video didn't want to play. It is now stuck on that screen, and I am trying to get back there and get this operating. So I apologize to the people who are online. I may have to close it and open it back up again. So it went back to where I'm going to click stop sharing for a moment. Sorry, y'all. And go back into, and it's still stuck on Caleb. Well, hey, Caleb, true story. Caleb was also a student in the CTE program that I directed that was in the same building. And I was ecstatic when he went into adult education. So that was just one of the things that we had in common. You want to try? Because I'm kind of at a little bit of a loss that I can't get it to move forward anymore. So people online, please bear with us. We are so sorry. Go back to share and let's see if we can somehow. I tried that one. Maybe go back to screen. I just can't get it to end appropriately. I don't want to end the session. Yeah, that would be good. I'm on it. Okay.
It got stuck. Probably must be when you were trying to.
Yeah, it's just the PowerPoint will not move forward. I can't even get to the escape key. Yeah, we did that one.
Yeah. PowerPoint.
Okay.
Click the PowerPoint.
They're saying go to the task manager.
Okay.
And what you don't want. Obfuscate.
Do you know how to go in Task Manager and just end the PowerPoint tab?
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, it is already ended apparently because it is not coming up on Task Manager. Oh, when things gonna go wrong, they will.
Can you see your Can you see the PowerPoint at all?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it showing to people at home is what, or not with us? Okay. All right, so we're there. But now I need to bring it back up. Lord have mercy.
Those ones there you go.
Oh my gosh. I've tried to, I don't know why it's not. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So we're not going to share any more videos. We're just going to skip over those. So. Ooh. Okay. goodness. Yes. Okay, gotcha. Now, yay. Okay, not sharing any more videos. Okay. Again, we're going to monitor and adjust, right? Because we have a lot more to share with you. And if you do want to go in and watch the videos, I have not uploaded this into the Awova app yet, but we certainly will. So the process that we broke it down as and looking at our data and our students, it's okay. We want our students to dominate our world, right? We don't necessarily need to go over all this stuff with you because I have a feeling that many of you already do this. I know that you have a good enrollment process and that you spend time with your students when they're coming in. That's something I think that's consistent across the board. We have a great orientation process. We've taken it this year and put it online, but we still do some interactive videos and some interactive places. Interactive sessions with students during that orientation. And then we just take our program and we help our students to make connections with it. So I think these are probably things that you all already do. We look at it as a coaching model. And we're lucky in a lot of those instances. Talk through that. We do a little activity when we have face-to-face students about, establishing our adult ed community. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what to do with this PowerPoint anymore. Is that what's happening? It's going to do the same thing again. Let me just get out of here and we'll go to, nope, it's still stuck. It gets stuck every time. Now I know never include videos in a session. All right, well, while it's closing out, I think we're going to have to just adjust. I don't know if I have to do the same thing again, because it won't. Yeah. I just had no idea that it would just totally stop itself in that.
Let the online people know that it'll be uploaded.
Yeah, I'll let the online people know that it will be uploaded. So I'm going to have to go back and restart it one more time. Yeah, I'm going to have to just go to we've probably lost half our audience at this point, but it's completely stuck. It will not go the rest of the way through. I don't even know what to do. It will not go the rest of the way through. Well, I'll summarize and we'll just move forward, y'all. I don't want to stick you because it just keeps getting stuck. I think, yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. We are lucky in South Carolina in that we have such a good structured system. South Carolina took the initiative in both our Department of Ed for K-12 and within the Adult Education Department to come up with our own curriculum standards. We call them college and career readiness standards. So we're able to structure our program around that on both the GED side and the high school diploma side. There are also some initiatives, and there's a screen in the PowerPoint that shows you what are some of the initiatives in South Carolina that give us that piece of rigor that we need. It helps keep things consistent across the state, but there's an initiative with young adults. There's a career readiness initiative. There are other initiatives to help. Now we're moving forward with a digital literacy initiative. So we're given a lot of resources by our state that helps us keep things rigorous, and that we have a standard that we know that we have to meet. And going back to those standards over and over and again is extremely helpful when you're doing professional development. What we found is that the rigor and having that structure in place is what led us to the relationships and that we were able to establish and get that retention in line. So if we were able to get through the whole PowerPoint, which we're not, it would show you that progression and how easy it is for us to depend on what we get from our state, depend on the knowledge that we get from our teachers when they come in, and then we bring in the knowledge of our students, and it helps put everybody on the same path. So I hope that kind of wraps it up for you a little bit in that respect. There is one thing I will share with you, and then I'll get some other questions. One of the activities that I wanted to do with you, and it's in the PowerPoint, so please go in and look at it. When you are establishing those relationships, a way to build community, one of the things that we do is to allow students, give them just the opportunity to dig into what their personality type is. And I do a survey. It's an online survey from the Eagle Center for Leadership. And it's basically a personality test that helps you, and it's got some cute little animals that it identifies with. But what it does is it gives us a little bit of a structure in place to say, hey, you know what? I'm a camel because I'm a lion and a camel. And then we've got the turtles and the monkeys. So you've got people that have different ethics. And when you come in and put a group together, you want to be able to work together, whether you're a teacher or a student or that dynamic of those in the classroom, or as a community of leaders and thinkers and educators. So we use that. And that is one of the powerful tips that I wanted to share with you. Hopefully once you get a hold of the PowerPoint, you'll be able to go online and look at the Eagle Center for Leadership. If you just type in takethetest.org or Eagle Center for Leadership, if anybody can pull it up, it's a tremendous thing that allows us to put people where they can work best with others and to understand each other a little bit better. So it's one of the ways that we provide structure to relationship building. So I think that that's an important connection. So between what we get from the state of South Carolina, what we establish in our program, we think that leads to a lot of our retention and a lot of our successes. Just not the technology. Question? Okay.
So for your younger students that are like 18 and under, or even 21 and under, where is their high school diploma? Is the credential coming from your college, or does it come from their school district? I'm coming from Wisconsin, and if we have students that's under 21, their high school credential can come from their previous like high school or the school district. So I'm just asking, how is it in South Carolina, especially since you guys can see them so young?
Definitely, yes. Our program is able to issue a diploma from one of the high schools in our district. So that's how that works. We in South Carolina the vast majority of us are paired with a school district. So K-12 gives us our oversight and we make that connection. And truthfully, a lot more resources because the technical college system in South Carolina is woefully underfunded, and they don't want adult education because we're expensive. So we're happy to stay under the school districts. And then, but the caveat to all of that is they have to be within the time period of their graduating class. Like we call it 9GR. It's our big term. That when they came in as a cohort, this year's cohort is 9GR 22 because that's when they started, 21, 22. So we try to keep them as long as they are before their graduating class or their actual graduating class, then we can issue a diploma from one of the high schools in our district. So it's moving now. Bless you. Go to the Eagle Center, if it'll get past this one. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, see, the animations, I think we're messing it up too. We can just flip through kind of quickly. Maybe the battery on the flipper was dead. Maybe it was just that simple. Okay, just keep on going. We'll keep on going. I just want to show y'all just the Eagle Center for Leadership. And if you don't take anything else away from this presentation, the hopeless technology for one thing, but yeah. Okay. Yeah, sorry, Dr. Rob.
Get to know them and talk with them, like Lisa was saying, they have our numbers, we text them if they're not in class, say, hey, where are you today? What's going on? One of our students who's been there a couple of years, her brother died. So, you know, we were in contact with her and she came back, we have a card for her. So we really build those close relationships with them, and let them know we're there for them. And some, in the classroom, here's some of the layout of the classroom. We put up, you know, their successes when they graduate, inspirational things, content things. So try to surround them with, you know, a lot of things that they need and we'll see.
Perfect.
Right,
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have basically two divisions is almost what I would call it. GED is on one side of our building and high school diploma is on another hallway. Yep. Good.
When students start, like on average, what is their reading level, math level when they start with your program?
It definitely varies. I would say we're in the middle spectrum. We're probably a lot of NRS level 3 and level 4. We get the vast majority there. Our lower level students, we do have a partner with Florence Area Literacy Council. So if somebody comes in as a non-reader or a level 1, most of the time we refer them to the Literacy Council. Depending on their commitment to even doing well on TABE, that's a fun conversation. A lot of our high school diploma students, eventually, they just come in and they don't take it seriously and they end up in level 2 or 3, but they're still placed in high school diploma regardless. We are allowed to put them at level 4 when they come, level 5 when they come in as high school diploma, no matter how many credits they have. But that's a whole nother thing with the way we have to structure things in South Carolina. So this is the Eagle Center for Leadership. This is their Make a Difference test, and it just will help you to establish what personalities are and that you're dealing with. And it helps you to honor experience, and it helps you to honor who people are. You know, to allow them to become their best selves, you've got to get to know them. And so that was just one of the structures or activities that I wanted to share with you and to take away from today. Let's see anything else through the rest of this. Yeah, those are the 3. Okay, yeah, go back one more. So if we were to divide the room up, you would be surprised at how, if we did 4 corners, which is the way I do the activity, so that people visually see how and what personalities we have with us together. So taking that away, that's a big piece. And these are some of the descriptive words that go along with this. If you take it yourself and you get your results, I'd love for you to go in on the app and kind of share if you got something from that, anything that you can take away about yourself or about your program or about your teachers. I would do this first with teachers, in all honesty. Either when you get back or at the beginning of the year. It's just a neat thing if you've not done, had them take a look at themselves. A little bit of self-reflection is always helpful. So let's see, anything else we got? One of the things we're lucky in Florence is that we have a lot of resources and we're able to share those with students. Twice a year, we have a community resource fair where we bring in our community partners for our students. And we invite others as well. It's not a huge thing like the job fair, but we invite particular agencies to also invite their clients so that we have an opportunity to give them those social and emotional resources, those connections that they need so we can help remove barriers. So that's just one of the ways that we establish relationships with our students. And our college and career navigators, of course, help us with all that dynamic. I'm just curious, college and career navigators, is that universal across the United States? That's the requirement. I'm pretty sure with WIOA, but I just wanted to see. We're lucky. Is that funded for you though? Is it funded? Okay, I got a lot of yeses and a lot of nos. In South Carolina, again, it is funded for us. We get some funding, especially when we have a high number of poverty students. There is additional funding for us to be able to provide a college and career navigator. So that's something that is very, very helpful in helping students to make connections that they need and give them the support that they need. Okay.
So it's going back regarding to the test, the personality or the animal test. Like, how do you use it? Like, do you create the classes with the students based on that, or it's for activities? How do you do it with teachers? Can you speak a little bit more about that?
No, it's not a way that we classify anybody. It's more for information. And if you take the test tomorrow, you might have a totally different result than you had today. It does work that way, but what it does is it allows students to see each other, and it allows your staff to see and recognize each other. That in working together, we're not all going to work the same way. We're not all going to have the same personalities. And we're in a world right now where that's rough. All we hear in media and messages is, if you don't think like I do, then you're wrong. No, we got to get beyond that. And it's a part of respecting the experience of others. I think that is something, that's a way that we connect. And we don't use it for anything formal. It's totally an informal, kind of voluntary, just neat activity to walk everybody through so that we can respect each other's experience. Good way to end. Just another neat activity that I've done with my teachers and teachers have done in classes. Have any of you ever heard of Fill Your Plate or Fill My Plate? It's on Pinterest and a couple of other websites recently. What it is an activity. If you go back, there's a picture of it, but it's a neat activity to do, especially at a time of year, I would say like November or February, when everybody is like, let's get it on, let's get it over with. There's a picture that's actually of a hand doing the plate activity. You take an empty plate and you put your name on one side of it and then turn it over on the other, throw it on your back with a string, and you walk around the room and you write a message to that person specifically for them, a message or a positive word. Well, they can't see what you're doing. Keep on going. It's back even further. It's way back. But it's just a neat supportive activity that you can take into the classroom or into a PD session, whatever it may be, to help people kind of get through when they're feeling really down and dragging, because they can't see the messages until the whole activity is over, and then they turn over and they read their plate. This is what it looks like right here. We kind of went around during a staff meeting and wrote messages to each other during that, and then you turn it over when it's all done, and it's got all the good stuff that you need to hear. We have a tradition in Florence on adult ed called Tell Me Something Good, and I bring up the Shaka Khan version of the song, and that's what we do. So anyway, hopefully you've seen a couple of things. You've taken something away from our session today. Eagle Center for Leadership is a huge one. And then any other social emotional learning things that you can do with even adult education students, I think it's helpful to get them through this experience. So, and I thank you for getting through this experience with us. I appreciate you.